We'll be starting in about 3-4 minutes. Make sure you go to the table with your table number that you got at check-in. We're trying to mix things up a bit today, so you're not always sitting with your friends or who you know.
You know, these mics you have to hold. Can everybody hear me clearly? Can you hear me? You have to talk very close to these mics. They're directional, so it's straight in. Everybody hears me? Good.
I hear it. Another couple minutes. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. Oh.
I'll EQ the mic right now too, so it'll be easier to.
Okay.
So you don't have to hold it right up to your face.
That'd be nice.
But I am done setting up, so it looks like we're good to go. Awesome. Perfect.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. This is our opening day for our Hazak Monday programs for 2024-2025. And if you can see the balloons in front here, we're beginning our 24th year as VBS Hazak. Can you believe it? Who's been here from the very beginning? Anybody? I know Louise has. Jay? All right. Your Hazak programming steering committee and the programming subcommittee have worked hard to produce a great 24th year programming for you this year. But we're going to be focusing a lot on getting to know us, getting to know you, getting to know each other. The number one reason when I go around and ask people why they join Hazak, it's not necessarily for the wonderful programming. Most people tell me they join Hazak because they want to be around other people in our age group. They just want to get to know people and socialize and be together. So we're going to be focusing a lot on that goal this year, and it starts today. It may seem a little chaotic, but we set you up at different tables so you're not always sitting with the same people. Did you get a number? Yes, you're at the wrong table. So I'm going to ask you, if you got a number when you came in, you should be sitting at the table with that number, not always with the people you know. And we're going to be talking more about that after Cantor Rafi's presentation. So how many new members are here? Raise your hand. This is your first time coming to Hazak. Okay, raise your hand if you're brand new, first time. Okay, if you're at a table, turn to that person who has their hand up and introduce yourself. Hi. Okay. Yeah, just a second. Okay, I want to, Rabbi, just a second. So with us today, we have a couple of esteemed guests. One is our Rabbi Leibowitz, who's going to say a couple introductory words. Whoop, the sound went. Take a couple introductory words for us. Rabbi, the mic is down, so you could probably talk on the way.
Mic went down. Did everybody hear me or no? Yeah? Everybody in the front says yes. I just wanted to see, it works. Joel, do you see what just happened? A miracle. For me, miracles in this room. I just wanted to welcome everybody here to another year of Hazak and tell you how much, 24th year of Hazak, and tell you how much it means to everybody that we get to see you every week and be part of these programs and be part of the Torah study and participate in the incredible program that Joel and so many here I know spend so many hours putting together for all of our benefit. This year, for some reason, the shofar sounds different to me this year than years past. In previous years, the rabbis explained that the shofar is actually the sound of a cry. It's the cry of parents for their children, children for their parents. It's the cry of the Jewish people for God, God for the Jewish people. This year, and it could be because of the Olympics, I hear the shofar more as a whistle to stop for all of us, to just stop, to prepare, to reflect. And I think that this is such a great venue for that to happen. And I think that when we sit together as a community on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we get to remember who is most important in our lives, what is most important in our lives, why, the reasons why we do the things that we do for the people that we do. And this room and this morning is also a reminder of it all. So, early Shana Tova, happy, healthy New Year. May this year of 5785 be a better one for the Jewish people and for the entire world. Thank you very much, Joel.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi. I also want to introduce Yael Aronoff. Yael is our new assistant rabbi at Valley Beth Shalom. And she worked as an intern rabbi here prior to this position, but she received her rabbinic ordination just this last May at the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies. She's serving as the co-president on the board of Academy for Judaic, Christian, and Islamic Studies. And she's led 15 years of high holiday services at UCLA Hillel. Yael, welcome. Do you want to say anything to the group?
Thank you so much. I just want to say I'm so excited to see you. I see a lot of familiar faces, and if you don't know me yet, I'm Rabbi Aronoff, and I'm excited to get to know you. And I also want to wish you all an early Shana Tova and echo what Rabbi Leibowitz said. It's hopefully going to be a wonderful year ahead. We're really praying for a wonderful year ahead. And congratulations on the 24th year of Hazak. That's really something. So Shana Tova, good to see all of you. I'm Rabbi Aronoff again, and I look forward to a wonderful year ahead.
Okay, today's program is going to feature Cantor Raffi in just a few minutes. Lessons from our women prophets. And then we're going to be spending more time getting to know each other. That'll be followed by lunch in this room. So it'll be more time to sit with each other and get to know each other and talk a little bit about what we heard from the cantor and all. And then we have your choice of 2 small group sessions starting at 12:45. One is the Torah study with Rabbi Feinstein, and that'll be up in the Bernstein balcony upstairs. And if you've never attended a Torah study with Rabbi Feinstein, please do, because it's not like your normal Torah study. You never know what to expect. I know. I have to keep talking, though. I think they know the mic is off. There we go. And the other option you have is our new Hot Topics discussion group. with Alan Mandelberg, but Alan isn't here today, so Brian, Link, and I are going to be co-hosting the first session today. But Hazak has, and that will be in the youth lounge, right over here. So, but Hazak has a lot more to offer than just the Hazak Monday programs, and this table is full of flyers telling you more about all of the other programs. So for example, besides the Hot Topics discussion group, we have a memoir writing group with Helen Dosick. If you're interested in that, contact us. We have intergenerational volunteering with the preschool and the ECC. If you're interested in joining us for that, let us know. We have a hot Hazak Jazz Night coming up on the 29th at Casey's Tavern. If you'd like to come out on a Sunday night and have some fun, it really is a lot of fun. Come on out. We have a walk with the rabbi this next Sunday at Lake Balboa. If you'd like to join us for a walk with the rabbi, come on out, sign up. We have chair yoga that we just finished 2 sessions of, and there's interest in continuing the chair yoga program. So if you are interested in joining the chair yoga class, let us know. Sign up. There's information on the flyers, and we really encourage you to come out to the chair yoga. It's actually very fun. We have field trips. Our next one is on December 11th. We're going to the Santa Susana Train Depot and Museum, which is very interesting, right? We have our schmooze letter, our newsletter that Brian Link is the editor-in-chief on. We have our Hanukkah Hazak luncheon that's going to be on December 16th. And we're going to be having a Shabbat dinner and other activities and events like movies, maybe going to the theater and things like that. All of that information of what's available is in flyers over here, and we ask you to grab them and let us know if you're interested. And come on out, okay? It's more than just the Monday program. If you ever have questions, just check the VBS Hazak webpage online. It's vbs.org/Hazak. All of the updated information will be there. Our next Hazak Monday program is not in 2 weeks. It's next week. If you remember, today's session was supposed to have been last week. We had to reschedule. So we got back-to-back Mondays. And next week, we have 2 speakers, the Druze Voice for Israel, and a Druze member is going to be speaking with us, and the pros and cons of the November ballot measures with Marcia Schwartz from the League of Women Voters. That'll also be followed by lunch, by Torah study with Rabbi Feinstein, and our Hot Topics discussion group. So, wow, 24th year of Hazak, a lot going on. And if you haven't renewed your membership yet, especially if you're not a VBS member, please do. That way you'll be on our mailing list. Very shortly, we'll only be sending emails out to those who've actually renewed and are actual members of Hazak. And also, if you'd like to get involved in Hazak programming, in the organization of Hazak, we are a volunteer organization. VBS doesn't administer Hazak, we do in this room. So several of us are members of the steering committee, the programming subcommittee, marketing subcommittee. If you'd like to get involved, let us know. Okay. With that, I'd like to introduce Jackie Raffi. Oh, there we go again. Who's going to be talking to us about lessons from our women prophets. By the way, the reason we need the mic is not so much for you, but for the people who are on YouTube streaming. They can't hear me if I do this. So unfortunately, oh, there we go again. So unfortunately or unfortunately, we got to use this mic. Jackie Raffi joined Valley Beth Shalom clergy team 2 years ago, bringing along her energy, her vision, her engaging and invigorating personality to create an invigorating Jewish community through music. She directs and develops musical programs and services, including the Shiru Shabbat service. She launched the VBS Youth Choir. She revived the VBS Community Choir. She's created an annual concert series, and she oversees the newly redesigned B'nai Mitzvah program. Prior to joining VBS, she served 5 years as the cantor of Shimrei Torah Synagogue, and prior to becoming a cantor, she got her JD degree, she's a lawyer, from UCLA's School of Law, and practiced entertainment law. I find that fascinating. But today she's going to be talking to us about lessons of our women prophets. Cantor?
I'm so happy to be with you all. Thank you so much, Joel, for that beautiful introduction. All right, we have an exciting, I think, hopefully, presentation today, but it was exciting for me too. I love learning about the women prophets. I've taught about them before, but each time I do, I learn something new. So I want us to begin with just an understanding of prophets, why we're talking about prophets today. So who knows how many male prophets are there in our Jewish tradition that are named? How many male prophets? How many do you think? 12? A little more. 15, a little more than that. 25 more, a little more. Yeah. So Tanakh, in the Tanakh, meaning Torah and Nevi'im and Ketuvim, 46 prophets are named, 46 male prophets, and Talmud adds 2 more, though we're not sure who they are. So 48 male prophets, okay, 48 male prophets. How many women prophets are there that are named? 2, 12, 6. So again, we have a discrepancy here. In Tanakh, in Torah, and Nevi'im, prophets, and Ketuvim, we have 5 that are actually named, but Talmud names 7. So clearly there's a little difference of ratio. However, I'd like to also add that the Talmud also says, by the way, we have a Talmudic expert here, Rabbi Yael Aronoff, so she can also verify what I say here. But Talmud also teaches us that there are twice the number of people that left Egypt that are actually prophets in our tradition. So any one of us could be a prophet. But only the ones whose messages were recorded for future generations are the ones that we know of. Because there are only 7 female prophets, I wanted to take this opening session, I wanted to take my time today to lift up the voices of these women prophets, because I believe that they had really, truly important messages to share with us. And I think they're especially relevant today. So are we ready to dive in? All right. So this presentation is called Awake, Awake, Strike Up the Chant, Lessons from Our Women Prophets. And you'll learn where that title comes from as well. Okay, so let's take a quick moment at how women in ancient Israel lived. What kind of roles did they have? So they seem to have held exclusive responsibility for singing victory songs after a triumph of the Israelites in war. So remember Miriam sang Mi Chamocha. We're going to be speaking about Miriam. Devorah sang a song of victory as well. So they had this special role, the special task of coming up with victory songs. It appeared that women assumed a principal role as ritual musicians during times of mourning. A woman could dedicate herself as a Nazirite. A vow of women could be nullified by a father or husband, so we know that it was also a patriarchal society. Women could participate in the 3 pilgrimage festivals, but only men were required to make this pilgrimage. Okay, how did women prophets arise in ancient Israel? So, as we know, they're an anomaly, right? They're vastly outnumbered by the number of male prophets. However, women experienced high status and power in ancient Israel because the household was the center of life. Before the monarchy, life was rural, decentralized, and non-hierarchical. So the home was the center, and women had a lot of power. The monarchy came along, and then it switched, and women became a little bit they didn't have those roles of power. So, like I said, when matters moved to the public arena and power was centralized in the monarchy, women became marginalized. Joanne Hackett, who's a historian, writes that throughout history, women tend to have more status in society when important decision-making is made in or around the home. So again, in these rural communities, with these small micro-leadership in the home, that's when women really arose and had power. In times of war, it wasn't like that. Those were always exceptions. All right, so let's look at the women prophets in Tanakh. So there are 5, as I said. There's Miriam, and she's actually named a prophet in Torah, Vatikach Miriam HaNeviah. So Neviah is the female form of Navi, prophet. Devorah in Judges 4:4, Udvorah Isha Neviah, Deborah, the woman prophet. The prophet Isaiah, are we all familiar with Isaiah? He's, we read of his visions most commonly in Haftarah every Shabbat. So he had a wife. She did not have a name, but somebody that he was intimate with, and she's named a prophet as well. We don't know much about her. There is Huldah, again, who was a prophet in, I will tell you about Huldah and Noadiah, both of them. They're both named in Kings and Chronicles, and Noadiah is named in Nehemiah. Huldah verified the validity of the book of the law during the reign of King Josiah. So a bunch of leaders went to her and said, is it true? Is the book of the law true? And she was the one that verified it. And then Noadiah is someone who actually opposed Nehemiah's rebuilding project in the walls of Jerusalem. So she's kind of vilified. She's seen as someone who was trying to stand against Nehemiah's rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem. But I've taught a class on her about how she was actually kind of a pioneer and a boundary breaker. So we have those 5 named women prophets. Thank you for asking. We'll get to that right after this. Great question. Thank you. Okay, Talmud, which is a compendium of Jewish law or authoritative Jewish law, contains Mishnah, which is the oral law, rabbinic law, and all the commentaries of Mishnah and Gemara, names 7 prophets. So let's do a little review. Sarah, who's Sarah? One of the foremothers. So is she named as a prophet in Tanakh, in the Torah? No, so this is new in Talmud. Miriam, yes, it's the same. Devorah? Yes. Hannah? No, this is new. Abigail? No, this is also new. Huldah? Yes. Esther? No, this is unique to Talmud. That's right. Who are the same? Who are new additions? Who's left out of this? Well, from the Tanakh list, who's left out? Noadiah and the wife of the prophet Isaiah. That's right. So it's interesting to think about why did the Talmud name some of them and didn't name the others, and why did the Talmud add different people? Okay, so I'm going to go to the last slide because we had this wonderful question. Okay, what makes a prophet? So, according to Bahalotcha in the Torah, God said, hear these my words. When a prophet of the Lord arises among you, I make myself known to him or her in a vision. I speak with him or her in a dream. So here's one definition. So God makes God's self known to a prophet in a vision or a dream. But there's one exception. The prophet who? Moses? Not so with Moses. He's trusted throughout my household. With him I speak mouth to mouth. So Moses was the only prophet that God spoke to directly, but one of the definitions of a prophet is somebody to whom God speaks in a vision or a dream. A prophet is also someone who prophesies the future, who can tell what's to come. And according to Torah, the way you know you have a false prophet is if someone gives an oracle of the future and it's not true. That's a false prophet. They claim to be a prophet, but the future does not come to be how they say it. And the third definition of a prophet is somebody who rebukes Israel, who's a moral leader. Isaiah did a lot of this and says, Israelites, you're not living well, you're not doing the right thing, you're going to, you better turn your life around. So that makes a prophet. And we'll see how the women prophets in Judaism embodied these definitions of prophet. Okay, we're going to go back. Okay. All right. Let's begin. I've chosen 3 women prophets whose messages I think are relevant for today, and we're going to talk about them. We're going to learn about them. You can ask your questions about them. We'll see how they lifted their voices, and then we're going to learn a song for each of the prophetesses. And one of them is a new song that I wrote just this week, just for you, just for one of the prophets, because I didn't find a song that really existed for her. Okay. Who is Miriam? She's the first named woman prophet in Jewish text, Miriam HaNeviah. She's the daughter of Yocheved and Avram. She lived in Egypt as a slave, so during the time that the Israelites were slaves, was part of the generation that fled Egypt and became free. And she's the sister of whom? Who is she the sister of? Moses and Aaron, very good. And she co-led the Israelites through the Exodus from Egypt as they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. Archaeologists, historians say that she may have lived in the 1400 to 1300 BCE. So we know that she, of course, exists in Torah, and we know her story, and that she led the Israelites and had this beautiful song that she composed, led the Israelites in song and dance. But look what the rabbis in the Talmud say about Miriam. So they verify that she's a prophetess as it's written in the book of Exodus. She was a prophetess, the sister of Aaron. But the Talmud asks, why does it only say sister of Aaron? Why doesn't it say also sister of Moses and Aaron, or just sister of Moses? Rav Nachman says, that quoting another Rav, for she prophesied when she was the sister of Aaron, because who's the oldest brother? Aaron's the older brother. So Miriam, Aaron, and Moshe was the youngest. So she prophesied before Moses was born. She would say, this is Midrash, this is what the rabbis interpret creatively, my mother is destined to bear a son who will deliver the Jewish people to salvation. And when Moses was born, the entire house was filled with light. Her father Avram stood and kissed her on the head and said to her, my daughter, your prophecy has been fulfilled. So this is how Talmud teaches us. Miriam was a prophet even from the time that she was a child. What's another way we knew she was a prophet? According to Talmud, remember when Moshe's mother put him in a basket in the river? Who was the one that went out to look and see what would come of him? Miriam, his sister Miriam. She stood at a distance to know what would be done to him, to know what would be the end of her prophecy, because she said, if he's destined to be a leader of the Jewish people, I have to see that happen. My mother put him in a basket to save his life. What's going to happen? Let's learn a little bit more about Miriam and what we can learn from her. So Miriam was deeply intuitive and creative, even as a child. We see Talmud tells us that she had this prophetic power as a child. Midrash teaches us, which again is rabbis fill in the lines, things we don't know in the Torah, they imagine what would have happened that was not recorded in Torah. They say that she got her parents back together. So there's a teaching that when Pharaoh in Egypt ruled that all the baby boys had to be thrown into the river because Israelites were becoming too numerous, Avram divorced his wife Yocheved. He said, I don't want to be with you anymore because if we have children, they're all going to be killed anyway. And he divorced her. And Miriam went to her father and said, you have to get back together because who knows, maybe you'll have a girl. And who knows, maybe the decree will be changed. So her intuition and the teaching is that they actually got back together. Yocheved gave birth to Moses, so that's another example of her prophetic power. She actually was responsible for Moses being born. She saved her baby brother Moses from certain death. Miriam was a trusted and beloved leader. So she picked up her hand drum. After the Israelites crossed the parted sea, all the women went out after her and danced with hand drums. And Miriam chanted for them, sing to the Lord, for God has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver God is hurled into the sea. That's her song, by the way. That's Miriam's song. So everyone trusted her. Everybody followed her. All the women followed her in song and dance. By the way, how did they know when they left Egypt in a hurry to pack hand drums? Why on earth would they be chasing us? Our bread, we don't even have time for our bread to rise, but let's pack some drums. Why don't we? Why? Why did they pack drums? Can anyone guess? Communication, maybe. Okay, we're going to need to, well, yes, but maybe they had a shofar at that time too. Who knows? Why would they all pack drums? Mourning? What was that? Warn the people. Okay, so you're looking at it as a call. I'm looking at like an instrument. Why would they pack musical instruments? Tambourines, yeah. They're hand drums, tambourines. Why would they pack those? Because they're going to be free. Cheering themselves on. Yes, they're going to be free. So they were holding on to hope. And this is my conjecture, who might have given them that hope? Moses and, who are we learning about? Miriam, the one who was leading them, she packed her hand drum. This is my midrash. She packed her hand drum and said, come on, everybody. We don't have time for our bread to rise, but you have time to pack a hand drum because we will be free and we will celebrate our freedom. Okay, when Miriam was punished by God and forced to stay outside the camp, when they were wandering in the desert, she's punished with leprosy because she talks behind her brother's back. She questions why she's not given the same kind of attention that Moses is given and the same kind of leadership. Actually, both she and Aaron complain about that, but she's the only one who's struck with leprosy. The Israelites refused to move forward without her. They refuse to move forward while she's outside the camp. So we know that they trust her, they love her. Even though God has struck her with leprosy and is angry at her, the Israelites won't move on without her. They stay by her side. Finally, Miriam brought healing and wellness. She mustered the healing powers of others around her. So when she was sick, Aaron begged Moses to ask God for help. And this is where we get that famous line, El na refana la, our healing prayer that's in our daily and Shabbat Amidah. We get this line because Aaron begs Moses to ask God to help her. So Miriam's illness inspires Aaron to ask Moses, and then Moses comes up with this beautiful healing prayer. After Miriam died, Torah tells us that water for the community disappeared. So the legend is that she carried a well with her in the desert. In a desert for 40 years of wandering, she was the one that carried the water, a fountain of water that sustained and healed all the people. Water is a life force, and Miriam was the one who had the well. How else would they have survived? Any questions about Miriam? She's pretty inspiring, huh? No questions? Thoughts? Yes. Did she ever marry and have children? Thank you for asking that question. I'm just repeating it for those on live stream. She's never named as a wife or a mother in all of Tanakh, in all of Talmud. She's never named as a mother or wife. So it's possible, but that's not the attribution given to her. That was not her role. Great question. All right. Miriam's song. So I've taught about Debbie Friedman to this group before, to some of you in this group before. Debbie Friedman, many call her a modern-day Miriam. She would take stories from Torah, from Tanakh, and write these beautiful interpretations in English so that the everyday Jewish person and non-Jewish person could connect and relate. And she would re-envision their stories, and she would add her own midrash. And this is one of her most famous songs. It's Miriam's song. And we're going to learn the chorus together. Who knows this song already? Good, but not everybody. All right, so here, good, we're gonna learn it together. So again, this was written by Debbie Friedman in 1989. Okay, here it goes. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. We're gonna learn it together. Repeat after me. And the women dancing with their timbrels. Sing that. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Followed Miriam. And then you can also go like this for those of you who don't want to sing, which is fine. As she sang her song. Try that. As she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Nice. Miriam, I know, she wrote it kind of high. Can I transpose it? You want me to transpose it? And the women dancing with their timbrels. Try that. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Followed Miriam. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole... Okay, check out these verses that Debbie Friedman wrote. You can follow along on the screen. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every strand and every thread, she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. Your turn. And the women. Here we go. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Second verse. When Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. Here we go. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Nice. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Okay, my favorite verse, personally, the third verse, here we go. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. Everyone, we've just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. Okay, just you and the women. Here we go. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. All right, give yourselves a hand. That's probably the most well-known song of the prophetesses, so the next two are going to be, new, also some new for me. All right, very nice. So what are the lessons? Well, okay, I don't know. I have limited time, and I want to get through two more. So at the end, I want to hear from you about what you've learned and how you've been inspired by these women prophets. Ready for the next one? Yes? Ready for the next one? Okay. Devorah. She was a major judge in Israel. Now, the judges in Tanakh were not judicial leaders. They were military leaders. So she was a military leader. She led the Israelites for 40 years. This is after the time of the Exodus, but before any kingdoms in Israel had been established. So it's like interim time that adversaries kept oppressing the Israelite people until they themselves rose to power. She was the only female judge, the only one who was also a prophet, so a military leader and a prophet, and she actually served a judicial role. So people would come to her for decisions. So she was a military leader, a prophet, and an actual judge. She would sit under the palm of Deborah, and the Israelites would come to her when they had decisions they needed. She summoned Barak to enter battle against the Canaanites, who were ruling over the Israelites at that time. And she told Barak, I will deliver their leader into your hands. Listen to that confidence. I love it. Barak said he would only go if Deborah, I'll call her Devorah, would go with him. So he said, if you go, I will go. If you don't go, I'm not going. So she said, fine, I'll go with you. And Devorah and Barak sang a song of victory. Remember we talked about in ancient Israel, women were responsible for composing these songs of victory. So in Tanakh, it's recorded. They sang a song together when the Canaanites were defeated, thanks to Devorah, and Yael, also a really strong woman warrior. We'll hear that story another time. And she lived, historians think, although we don't have evidence of her existence, it would be 1204 to 1144 BCE, before the Common Era. Tanakh. Okay. Udvora isha nevi'ah, eshet lapidot, hi shofta et Yisrael be'et hahi. Devorah, okay, this translation, by the way, I don't agree. Wife of Lapidot was a prophet. Eshet Lapidot can be translated as a wife, like Eshet, woman of Lapidot, but we don't know who Lapidot is. Nobody is mentioned in Tanakh who's Lapidot. So the rabbis translate this as flames. Lapidot comes from the word flame, so she was the woman of flames. She was a fiery woman, and also she was responsible potentially for managing the lighting of the menorah, or lighting of the flames, candles in the sanctuary. She led Israel at that time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah, as we said, between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the Israelites would come to her for decisions. Again, this is all in Tanakh. Barak said to her, if you go with me, I will go. If not, I will not go. So, I can't read that. Ve'im telchi imi lo elech. If not, if you don't come with me, I will not go. So Devorah arose. So I wanted to include example. The name of this presentation is Arise, Arise, Strike Up the Chant. So all of the ways in which this beautiful story of Devorah talks about arising, getting up, get up, wakes us up. So Deborah arose. Vatakam comes from kum, to rise, lakum. Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. Then Devorah said to Barak, arise, kum, arise, get up. This is the day on which God will deliver Sisera, the general of the the general of the Canaanites, into your hands. God is marching before you. And she gave Barak that inspiration. She said, get up. This is the day God's going to deliver Sisera, the enemy general, into your hands. And Barak charged down Mount Tabor, followed by 10,000 men. So she gave him that inspiration to rise up and defeat the enemy. So in Judges chapter 5, we have this beautiful victory song that's called the Song of Devorah. On that day, Devorah and Barak, son of Avinoam, sang. And there are some, it's 31 verses, but I excerpted some of my favorite verses. Deliverance ceased in Israel till you arose, O Devorah, arose, O mother in Israel. So she's called a mother of Israel, even though, again, like we have this question, was she married? It says that she was the wife of Lapidot, but it's not really translated like that. We don't know if she had any children, but here she's the mother of all of Israel. Awake, awake, O Devorah. Awake, awake, strike up the chant. So that's where I got the title for this presentation. From her song, Uri, Uri, Devorah, Uri, Uri, Dabri, Shir. Kum Barak, and it continues to say, arise, arise, Barak. So may all your enemies perish, O God. This is the end of the song. But may your friends be as the sun rising in might. And look at this part. The land was tranquil for 40 years. The land was tranquil for 40 years. So what does the Talmud say about Devorah? So again, quotes Tanakh, says, well, it says, the Torah says, or Tanakh says that she was a prophet. The Gemara asks, what is the meaning wife of Lapidot? And Gemara answers, she used to make wicks for the sanctuary, wicks of candles. And due to the flames on these wicks, she was called literally a woman of flames. I love that. Fiery woman. She sat under a palm tree. Rabbi Shimon ben Avshalom said, why did she sit under a palm tree? There was a prohibition at that time that a woman and man couldn't sit alone together in case somebody came and thought something suspicious was going on. So men would come before her for judgment. See how revolutionary she was? Men would come, and because she didn't want to be thought of as being alone with a man and maybe something is going on that shouldn't be going on, she was out in the open, visible to all in order to avoid that situation. So she was smart, she was strategic, she understood the times, she understood the social customs at the time, and she took a stand and said, I'm not going to have anybody say anything about me, which, is strategic and very wise. Alternatively, the verse means, just as a palm tree has only one heart, because a palm tree, as you know, it has one main trunk and then goes up like this, as opposed to the trunks coming out of the side, right? Palm tree, think about it, it's very tall. So too, the Jewish people in that generation had only one heart directed to Avinu Shebashamayim, their parent in heaven. So the Jewish people, when she ruled, they were united. They were connected under her power, under her leadership. All right. So this is how Debbie Friedman of blessed memory imagined Devorah's song would sound like. We have the text. She took some of the text and she added some English. This is a song that I heard, throughout my life, but I had never really sung it. So I spent time with it, and now I love it, and it's in my head all the time. So it goes like this. Here's the chorus. Arise, arise, Devorah, arise, arise, and sing a song. Arise, arise, Devorah, Uri, Uri, Dabri, Shir. Okay, let's learn it together. Arise, arise, try that. Arise, arise, Devorah, Devorah. Arise, 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 and sing a song, and sing. Arise, arise, Devorah. Okay, here's the Hebrew. Uri, Uri, Dabri, Shir. Try that. Uri, Uri, Dabri, Shir. Try it again. Uri, Uri, Dabri, Shir. From the beginning. Arise, arise, Devorah. Arise, arise, and sing a song. Arise, arise, Devorah. Uri, Uri, Dabri, Shir. Good. Okay, here are the verses. Devorah the prophet was a judge in Israel. She sat beneath her palm tree on a hill, and people came from everywhere just to hear her judgments, honest and fair. Devorah the prophet, Devorah, a mother in Israel. Sing with me. Arise, arise, Devorah, arise, arise, and sing a song. Arise, arise, Devorah, uri, uri, dabri shir. Second verse goes like this. Devorah the prophet was a woman. No, sorry. Devorah the prophet, a woman of fire, her torch in hand. She led the Israelites to victory. Barak said, Devorah, I cannot fight unless you are standing right by my side. Devorah the prophet, Devorah, a mother in Israel. Everybody, 2, 3, arise, arise. Devorah, arise, arise, and sing a song. Arise, arise. Devorah, uri, uri, dabri shir. Devorah the prophet, a woman of fire. Sorry, that was the third verse. I already did the third verse. I'm going back to the second verse. Devorah the prophet was courageous and strong and wise. Her people lived in peace for 40 years. The 12 tribes lived together as one. Remember the palm tree? For the first time since the world had begun. Devorah the prophet, Devorah, a mother in Israel. Last time, 2, 3, arise, arise. Devorah, arise, arise, and sing a song. Arise, arise. Devorah, uri, uri, dabri shir. Uri, uri, dabri shir. It's a great song, isn't it? Oh. I just love how it's everything we spoke about. Debbie Friedman really knew her Torah and Talmud. I mean, she put it all together. It was amazing. All right. We conclude our discussion with one of my favorites, Queen Esther. I know we have an Esther in the room, and yes, this is a story of my ancestry, the Persians. We have a Devorah in the room. Where's Devorah? Devorah was a prophet. She was the second one we just talked about. Yeah, that was Devorah. Hi, Devorah. Okay, do we have a Miriam in the room? Another Devorah? Yeah, Debbie. Do we have another prophet in the room? Do we have any prophets in the room? We do. Miriam? Any Miriams? No. All right. Okay, who was Esther? She was a young, beautiful Jewish woman living in Persia around the 5th century BCE. So we're going in chronological order. This is after the exile. She was a cousin or niece or adopted daughter of Mordecai from the tribe of Benjamin. She wins favor with King Ahasuerus and becomes queen. She keeps her Jewish identity secret. When Mordecai refuses to bow down to Haman, Haman sets out to slaughter all the Jews of Persia. With encouragement from Mordecai, Esther risks her life to talk to the king and persuades him to save the Jewish people. So, true hero. Let's look at Esther's transition, her transformation from helplessness to courage. Esther chapter 4, verse 11. All the king's courtiers and the people of the king's provinces know that if any person, man or woman, enters the king's presence in the inner court without having been summoned, there is but one law, that he be put to death. So after Haman vows to slaughter the Jewish people, Mordecai goes to Esther. She gets a message that this terrible decree has been sent out. All the Jews have ripped their clothes. Mordecai's in sackcloth and ashes. He says, you have to speak to Ahasuerus. But Esther, maybe she fell out of favor with the king. Who knows? He hasn't summoned her for 30 days. And there's a law in the land that if you approach the king without him having summoned you, you will be killed. So she says, I have not been summoned to visit the king for the last 30 days. And the only way that she will survive is if he extends his, golden scepter, this long rod. That's the only way she'll survive. So she's taking a big chance. And Mordechai responds, who knows? Umi yodeya im la'et kazot higaat lamalchut. Mordechai says, who knows? Maybe it's just for this moment that you attained royalty. Maybe you were born for this, Esther. Maybe it all comes to a head here. I find that to be one of the most inspiring lines in all of Tanakh. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you don't know what to do and you need courage, can you imagine that voice telling you, what if it's just for this moment that you were brought here? What if you were born for this moment? And whatever decision you make, no pressure. It changes the whole course of destiny. By the way, who knows who's hidden? Who's very conspicuously hidden in the book of Esther? God. God is not mentioned one time. But how many times is Esther's name mentioned? 55 times, the most of any woman in all of Tanakh. And the book of Esther closes the entire Tanakh. It's the last book of the Jewish Bible. So what does that teach us? I was going to get to this lesson at the end, but I got too excited. She's important. It teaches us that God works through us. And even when we don't feel God's presence, even when we don't see God directly in front of us, even when God is not there, or we don't feel that God is there, we, people are partners with God, and God can work through us as people. So the responsibility is on us to make a difference, to arise, to save our people. And this feels really relevant right now. After national tragedies like the one we experienced on October 7th and continuing tragedies, the loss of the hostages recently, we question, where is God? How can God allow this to happen? How can this be? And we're reminded in stories like this that even if we can't see God or feel God right there with us, we know that God is working through us, and it's upon us. It's upon us to stand up, to make change, to bring our people together, to fight for what's right. Here's her moment of transformation. Esther sends this answer back to Mordechai when he says, hey, maybe you were just born for this. Maybe you became a queen for this. She says, go assemble all the Jews who live in Shushan, fast in my behalf, don't eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my maidens will observe the same fast. So I'm right there with you. We're all going to fast, and we're all going to pray. Then I shall go to the king, even though it's against the law. And if I am to die, so be it. I'm taking that risk. If I am to die, then let me die. And here's the line, I believe, the climax of all of the book of Esther, the most important line in all of the book of Esther. Vatilbash Esther malchut vata'amod. Esther dressed herself in royalty and stood up. Normally, we dress ourselves in clothing. So this line should have said she dressed herself in royal attire. But malchut is not royal attire. Malchut is literally royalty. So what does it mean for her to dress herself in royalty? What does that mean? We'll study in a second. The Talmud tells us what that means. So again, it says, we don't have Esther mentioned as a prophet. The book of Esther doesn't call her a prophet. But the rabbis in Talmud say, it came to pass on the third day, Tilbash Esther Malchut. Esther clothed herself in royalty. It should have said Esther clothed herself in royal garments, right? But rather, this alludes to the fact that she clothed herself with a divine spirit of inspiration. She clothed herself in a divine spirit of inspiration. That's where the prophecy comes in. That's how she's a prophet. She's divinely inspired. And the Talmud makes a linguistic connection. It's written elsewhere in Chronicles, the Spirit clothed Amasai. Here you can see Veruach lavsha et Amasai. So lavsha, again, the Spirit of God seized Amasai. He was cloaked in a Spirit of God. So just as another person is referenced as being enclosed by a spirit, so too Esther was enclosed by a spirit of divine inspiration. I interpret it also to mean, so she's clothed in a spirit of divine inspiration. That's royalty. I also interpret that as meaning she had to play the part. She had to wake up. Before that moment, she may have never felt like a queen. But that moment, she woke up and said, I am going to dress myself in what it takes to really be a queen, to really be a leader, to really save my people. To take that courage, I'm going to risk my life, and I need to dress like I mean it. Okay, so there is Esther's song written by Debbie Friedman, but it's more of a comical song because Purim, as you know, is a time of feasting and joking and drinking. So it's a comical song, and I feel that the lessons of the Book of Esther are more serious. And I couldn't find a song, so I wrote one with humility. I don't know. Thank you. I wrote it like basically in the last 2 days and finished it this morning. So it's fresh off the press. It's probably needs a little bit of tweaking, but you're the first ones to hear it. We're going to learn it together. You'll let me know what you think. And it's okay. You can hurt my feelings. It's okay. It's all good. Okay. So we take the line. I'm first going to teach you I'm going to teach you the chorus. So it goes like this. Esther. Okay. Esther dressed herself in royalty, risked her life and changed her destiny in the court of her inner reckoning. She stood up when the call was beckoning. Esther dressed herself in royalty, risked her life and changed her destiny. Vatilbash Esther Malchut, Vatilbash Esther Malchut, daughter of Israel, niece of Mordechai. The queen of Persia had everything to hide. The king saw nothing but beauty and the crown. Haman vowed to ruin us after Mordechai wouldn't bow down. Esther dressed herself in royalty, risked her life and changed her destiny in the court of her inner reckoning. She stood up when the call was beckoning. Esther dressed herself in royalty, risked her life and changed her destiny. Vatilbash Esther Malchut, Vatilbash Esther Malchut. When Esther got the message, she heard her people cry. If I approach the king, said Esther, surely I will die. Mordechai said, though I can't be sure, this could be the moment you became a queen for. Esther dressed herself in royalty, risked her life and changed her destiny in the court of her inner reckoning. She stood up when the call was beckoning. Esther dressed herself in royalty, risked her life and changed her destiny. Vatilbash Esther Malchut, Vatilbash Esther Malchut. Esther blessed her people with the truth, risked her life to proudly stand a Jew. If I die, then let me die, she said. Brave Esther saved her people instead. Thank you. Okay, maybe it's a little high. I'll transpose it down, but that's how I sing. Okay, so I took that line, Vatilbash Esther Malchut, and it happens to, in English, like rhyme perfectly. Esther dressed herself in royalty, so I think it's meant to be. And, okay, that is the conclusion of my presentation. So I want to take now, I have one concluding thought, and then that's the conclusion. Then I'm going to take questions. These three women are so inspiring, and they're just 3 out of 7, or 3 out of 5, or 3 out of 11, depending on how you count it, or 3 out of 9, depending on how you count it. And they just represent a small sliver of the story of our women leaders in Tanakh. So I want to encourage everybody to think about these women, to lift up their voices as we are approaching the holidays that some of them represent. Miriam in the story of Passover, Esther in the time of Purim, Devorah throughout the year. These women who heeded the call, they rose up in times of uncertainty and fear, and they were the leaders that we needed. They were the leaders that we needed. God knows we need those leaders right now, so may we all be inspired by these women to rise up. Thank you. Do I have time for questions, or I'm done? Do we have time for questions, or we're all done? Oh, I do? Oh my gosh, I talk so fast. I thought I gotta talk slower. Okay, so let's, maybe we can have some discussion for like 5 or 10 minutes. I really wanna hear from everybody, and I'm gonna, yay, okay, here we go. Can you tell everybody your name?
Hi, this is Mark, and I wanted to know, in the translation, you spoke about Deborah as being a mother of Israel. but in the song, it's mother in Israel.
Yes, you're right. Yes, yes. So it should have said, you're right, let's go back to it. It was translated probably incorrectly, but let's go back. Okay, so the question was, so Debbie Friedman translates it correctly, Devorah, a mother in Israel. And let's see what it says here. Ad shakamti Devorah, shakamti em beyisrael, so a mother in Israel, but Rabbi Aronoff, can't be also translated as of, so it could be, it's what do you call that, a preposition? It's a preposition that can be translated in different ways. So how does it change the meaning? If she's the mother of Israel, how does that change the meaning? Or mother in Israel, how might that change the meaning? Here, say it into the mic.
I got the mic.
Oh, thank you.
Here you go, Mark.
Just trying to get my stuff.
Well, if you say mother of Israel, then
Yes.
that could mean that she's representing all of Israel. But if you say in Israel, she might have been married and be a mother of children.
Great interpretation. So it's open to interpretation. My response, though, is that Tanakh did not want to emphasize that did not need to or want to emphasize her role as a mother or a role as a wife. It was her role as a leader, just like Miriam.
Who else? Here we go.
Oh, yeah, okay, we'll go around to everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Brina, and I don't have a question. I have a comment, if I may. If you look at the Song of Miriam, it is found in Parshat Beshalach. And if you look at the Song of Devorah, it is the Haftarah that is connected to Parshat Beshalach.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Brina, for mentioning that. So important. So as we know, on every Shabbat, we chant Torah, and we also chant Haftarah, which is taken from Nevi'im, from the books of Nevi'im. Judges is within the books of Nevi'im, the books of which we call the prophets, the book of the prophets. And whoever annotated, edited, and put together these readings finds a connection between the two, between the Torah reading for that day, the Parsha, and the Haftarah reading for that day. So thank you, Brina. Clearly they were smart.
So I have a question about which I'm a bit confused.
Yes.
When I lived in Canada for a while, I was taken by a very Orthodox family to Clanton Park Synagogue, and the women were not singing. So I asked why, and they said because the men can't hear the women's voices. How did that come about if women were singing like this right at the beginning?
What a great question. What a great question. So I think people didn't hear the beginning of Esther's question. So in some Orthodox communities, in some ultra-Orthodox communities, it is forbidden for a man to hear a woman's singing voice. This comes from dictum in the Talmud, not law, dictum. The passing words of one rabbi that says, Kol be'isha erva, which means a woman's voice is nakedness, immodest, might arouse some inappropriate sensations in a man, and this is why some sects of Judaism took this to mean that a man should not hear a woman's voice, because we can't trust men who knows what they'll do if they hear a woman's voice. Now, so before Talmudic times, this dictum didn't exist, and you'll see that that's why before rabbinic times, when these women were leading, their voices were loud and proud and clear, but the customs of the times changed. I mean, there was, and with respect, I'll say, of course, it's difficult for me as a woman cantor, but I'll say that many forms of orthodoxy, what we call open orthodoxy, modern orthodoxy, don't heed that dictum. Again, it's not a law. They don't heed that custom. Certainly conservative and reform and other liberal forms of Judaism do not heed that dictum, but it's a custom that some communities observe where women's and men's roles are more, are more separate, and there's just more of, that sense of let's not arouse anything in a man. Let's not let anything happen, and a woman's voice can be seen as
temptation.
Temptation. Let's not tempt. Thank you. Let's not tempt. But that is not the way that we live our lives as conservative Jews. But we respect people's beliefs. Yes.
Hi, I'm Barbara Vosen. I have to say that you are a treasure. You're an absolute treasure.
Thank you.
We're so lucky to have you.
You too, Barb. Thank you. Thank you so
And then
much.
I want to make a comment. I'm not equipped to really make a lot of scientific commentary about this, but it seems to me that the women in the Bible are much better at using both sides of their brain than men are. And I'm not being critical. I'm just saying I think we are. I think we are. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. And if there were a doctor in this room that could make a comment about that on a more neurological level, it'd be great to hear from that.
Tell us more. So how, like, give an example of how.
Oh, that's right. You're a doctor.
Yes. So Barb, can you tell us more? Tell us more. How does, like, these women?
Well, I mean, I think in terms of the creativity and the ability to be flexible in making decisions and to step outside of facts into an area of aspiration. I think we're very good at that. I really do. I think it's a great gift we have. And these women set an example that maybe more people should know about because it's really uplifting. Yeah.
Thanks, Barb. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anybody? Yes.
Hi, good morning. My name's Shirley Lowy.
Good morning, Shirley.
To come here on a Shabbos morning and hear Cantor Rafi chanting and singing and lifting the whole congregation up, just show up, that's all. Whenever you can, come on Shabbos morning and be part of this community, and you really are part of the community when you do. And Yasher Koach to you always, Cantor Rafi.
Thank you so much, Shirley. Thank you. And Shirley is such a beautiful example of somebody who shows up. She's here every Shabbat morning. She's here for almost every program. You help make this community what it is, so thank you. So spoken from a true, it is our home. It's our home.
Any other
Yes.
questions, comments? Anybody want to sing? Do you want to cover another prophet? Or?
Well, we can just conclude with Miriam's actual song, with Mi Chamocha, Why Don't We? This is a melody that we sing sometimes on Friday nights, sometimes on Shabbat mornings as well. So it's a call and response, because Miriam, the Tanakh writes, if we interpret it in the Hebrew, that she was the first song leader and she did a call and response with the people, because that's how you learn a song. So here we go, call and response. Ready? Mi Chamocha, Ba'elim Adonai, מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. Then together מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה אוסף אלה מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה אוסף אלה. Shavua Tov, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Cantor Rafi, thank you. And again, it's been said, you are a treasure to have. And I just have to tell you, Cantor Rafi adjusted her calendar in order to come today because of the cancellation last week. So we really want to thank you for bending over, leaning in to help us out. Thank you. So I know I've heard a number of people say the sound in here is a little difficult. Again, this is a new room for us. We're trying it out. We did it because Sher Lapati has all those bright lights behind. So people complained when we were in that room of not being able to see the screen. It was too blinding. So we're trying this out because we don't have the lights. We're going to ask the folks here to see if they can fix the sound so it works a little better. And we'll see how it goes. If not, we may move back. Or we'll turn around and face that way. Who knows? In any case, we're trying out the new room. I also heard somebody tell me that who's not a member of VBS, when they tried to park in the parking lot, they were sort of questioned and didn't have a sticker and this kind of thing. So I'm going to look into that. I mean, that shouldn't be a barrier to coming to Hazak. We openly invite non-VBS members to join Hazak. And we don't want to create a problem there. So I'll double check and check on that. I wanted to just remind you, we have a lot of other Hazak activities coming up. There's a table full of flyers over here. with information about the Walk with the Rabbi this coming Sunday, about the Hazak Jazz Night in a couple weeks on the 29th, about the yoga class that we're hoping to continue. So if you're interested in chair yoga, please let us know. We'll sign you up. So take a look. And as well as the full first semester schedule is over there. So you get a full look of what's going on. Yes. Yeah, and again, our next Hazak Monday will be next week, not 2 weeks. So I'll go over that in a little bit. So we're now going to we're going to change gears with our theme of getting to know you. Okay, so you're at different tables. Hopefully we shuffled you up a bit to be at tables where you don't necessarily know everybody who's at your table. We want you to get to know each other. And we're going to ask you to do this with a little bit of a icebreaker, okay? And here's your challenge, and I'm going to illustrate it. At your table, we want you to introduce each other to each other. Give your name, but then we want you to tell 3 things about yourself. I should have Eileen tell us about this. Tell 3 things about yourself. Only 2 of them are true. Okay? So one of the 3 is not true. So, and the challenge of the table is for everybody to try to guess which is the correct ones and which is the wrong one. So I'm gonna illustrate. See if you get this. So this is a true statement. I studied in Vienna, Austria when I was in college for a semester. So I had a lot of experiences in Austria. So here are my 3 things that are true. All of these three things are true except one. I had breakfast with Leonard Bernstein in his hotel room. That's number 1. Number 2 is I got to remember what this. I I hid drugs coming from a trip from Istanbul back to Austria. We had a field trip. And 3, I narrated Peter and the Wolf on stage at the music Verein, the music hall in Austria, in Vienna. So those are my 3 things. 2 are true, 1 is false. Any thoughts? She says, I didn't sneak drugs from Istanbul to Austria. What was that? Leonard Bernstein's not true? Okay. Anybody else? Yes. I didn't do Peter and the Wolf? Okay. All right, so what was that? I can't hear you. What drugs were they? Oh, hashish. So the true ones are, I did actually have breakfast with Leonard Bernstein in his hotel room in Vienna. He was in town conducting, and I called on behalf of our class and said, Leonard, we'd like to meet you. Can you come over? He said, well, come on over for breakfast and we'll talk about it. Amazing. I did sneak drugs from Istanbul to Vienna. I had broken my leg skiing in Austria, and I had a full leg cast on. So some of my friends said, Joel, can we hide some drugs in your cast as we got back in the train? And I said, oh, sure. Little did I know that was the year, Midnight Express. That guy was arrested and jailed for doing the same thing. I did not narrate Peter and the Wolf on stage at Music Verein in Vienna. So we want you to do the same thing. At your table, somebody introduce yourself, name 3 things, they don't have to be as elaborate as that, about yourself. 2 of them are true, 1 of them is not, and go around the table. Try to guess which is correct, okay? So, on your mark, get set, turn around, meet the people at your table. Hello. I'm going to interrupt briefly. Again, the purpose of this exercise is to get to know each other, get to know you. That's one of the main reasons that people come to Hazak, is to be around other people our age, to meet new people, to be stimulated by the stories that we all have. I want to just tell you what's next. We're going to break for lunch. Lunch is being set up shortly. Okay, so you can take a bathroom break, etc. Lunch is being set up. But I want to tell you that after lunch, and by the way, lunchtime is an opportunity to continue to talk with each other. You can change tables, meet new people. If there's anybody you don't know, today's the day you go up and introduce yourself and meet them. At 12:45, we will break for your choice of either Hazak Torah study with Rabbi Feinstein today, and that's up in the Bernstein balcony, and or Hot Topics discussion group in the youth lounge. Both of those will be at 12:45, and we will adjourn about 1:45, between 1:45 and 2. And the reason is we need to be out of the parking lot so the parents of the school kids can pick up their kids. The next Monday is the next Hazak Monday session. And the speakers, if you pick up the flyers, there's the full semester program, as well as an outline of next week's program. It's going to be on Drew's Voice for Israel. And we're going to be hearing from the League of Women Voters about the ballot initiatives. So we'll get educated about the ballot initiatives. And then please pick up other flyers and send an email or sign up online for the chair yoga class, the Hazak Hot Jazz Night in a couple weeks, the Walk with the Rabbi this coming Sunday. All of these activities are available to you. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Let other members of the Hazak Steering Committee know. And we look forward to seeing you next week and this afternoon for the lunch, Torah study, and hot topics. Welcome back.